Welcome to the Fly Culture Podcast, bringing you interviews, reviews and fishing tips. Here's your host, Pete Tigus.
Hi everyone and welcome back to the Fly Culture Podcast. This one's taking place again back on the river. I thought it would be really nice to bring you back down here again because I've been spending a lot of my time swinging flies for salmon without success. Emma had a hard yank off a fish a week or so ago, but I've been doing a lot of that. But it crossed my mind that I'm seeing all these wonderful images of people fishing the Mayfly at the moment, and I was fishing one of the pools that we fish for salmon, and I saw a really nice trout eat the Mayfly. I've just got to the river now. It's Monday afternoon. I've just seen a small fish rise upstream of me in the next pool up, but the plan is to see if I can catch fish on a Mayfly on the tour. Devon's probably not one of the hot spots for mayflies, but we get a hatch. We get a nice hatch, enough that the fish actually get locked on. It is really one of those times, as is in many other places, that fish do sort of throw off the shackles of nervousness and fear. That's certainly those bigger ones, and we'll eat one of those great big danicas as well. So my hope is to see if I can find one of these ones. It's not scripted, it's not edited this, so I may get my backside kicked. We'll see. It's an interesting one as well because I'm looking forward to christening a new rod. And if you're a regular listener of the podcast, you know that I like fishing sort of esoteric, slightly different sort of stuff. Graphite rods have a firm place in my heart. I've been fishing pretty much bamboo exclusively at the moment, though, and really been enjoying it. And thank you everyone for the feedback on that as well, and showing an interest in something a little bit different too. So that's been nice. But what I've got today is a glass rod. And I'm really new to fishing fiberglass rods, really. I had the reason probably is that I had a brief flirtation with a rod. It must be 12 years ago, and it was really dreadful. I just couldn't get on with it, and I was with a friend at the time, and we couldn't make the rod work. We tried all sorts of different lines, and it put me off them for quite some time. But again, if you've listened to the podcast, you know the ones that I've been doing with Adam Rawson and Luke Bannister as well, and we touched on glass rods there, and I was kind of starting to get interested in that. And so I decided to order a rod, and I wanted something that would fit in and not clash with my bamboo rods. So most of my bamboo rods are 7 foot to 8 foot. So I felt for the river that I'm fishing today, I wanted something just a little bit bigger. So I contacted Nico at Yamami Rods, and he has an 8'9" 3-weight rod called the Black Pearl. The range is called the Black Pearl. And I ended up chatting with him, and I met him one of the Bristol fly fairs that Toby put on, and he happened to be on a stand next to ours and seemed a really cool guy. He's over in Holland, and got on really well with him and sort of stayed in touch, and he's a fan of the magazine and the podcast, and I thought I'd try one of these because what I was looking for, I like fishing lighter lines, and I wanted a slightly longer rod, and it was a little bit of a shot, not a shot in the dark, but a leap of faith, I guess, in some respects, because I'd not fished these rods before. I'd been fishing and not fishing, but had a cast of some of the more up-to-date glass rods and really liked them. So I took the plunge, ordered this rod, and it's turned up. Like I say, it's an 8'9" 3-weight. I've put on it, I don't know why I did it to start with, but I've got the Rio Creek line on there, but I've got a 2-weight line on there. It's quite a chunky line. It loads the rod really quickly. But having practiced cast the rod in the garden, it's been really good fun. I've been absolutely amazed because I guess knowing how rods work a little bit, I was worried that this would bend as glass rods do deeply, but being a longer rod, how that would actually react. But thankfully, any fears I had have been allayed, and it's an absolute pleasure to cast. It's really easy to cast. All you've really got to do with it is slow that rhythm down. So I guess stepping from bamboo forward in some respects, I guess we could look at it, into glass has been really easy for me. But I've been amazed at the line speed it generates, how tough it is. I just think it's a really welcome addition to the rod arsenal as well. So I'm really pleased with that. I'm just standing now looking. I've got my dog with me at the moment. I've just seen a blue-winged olive come off as well. I've seen a couple of fish rise. I just think I've seen a slightly better fish rise against the far bank. The river has come up overnight. I'm just looking at a stone at the moment and it's dropped back. There's a little bit of colour in it. That may not harm us too much. It's the height more than anything else, and whether I can get to some of the spots that I wanted to, or I hope and want to fish. And one of the reasons for it, it's early June and I've not really fished the Mayfly hatch yet because the river's been so big. So I didn't want to miss it before it went. It seems as though the fishing season, everything that goes with it, goes by with a blink of an eye these days. So I wanted to try and make sure I took advantage of that. So we're going to see how we get on, and I'll talk you through what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, how I get on with the rod, and we'll take it from there. So I've gently waded into position now. I'm in a pool called Island Pool, and it's relatively wide. I'm sort of groin deep really in the water, and like I say, there's a bit of colour. I can just about work out the bottom. I'm trying to throw to the far side, and I've seen a small fish make its way and take a mayfly. I think I saw one. Just seeing if I can get a cast out there now. But I think I'm going to struggle reaching the spot I need to get to, but I'll give it a go. As I said, it gets deep, the pool drops away. One of the things I'm noticing again, remembering, it's kind of nice, remembering to slow down and let that line really extend behind me. Now I've managed to get a cast out, and I'm probably 3 or 4 feet short of where I need to be, but there's a big tree behind me, and getting that longer cast, I think, may be a problem. Slightly better position, but I'm still a little bit shy. Those fish seem to be relatively tight. I've seen a small one go downstream, and fish just took that, just came off that second. Really smacked the mayfly, actually. I just sort of dragged it across, and the fish absolutely whacked it. Small fish, but absolutely whacked it. I've got, obviously being a mayfly, I've got a relatively big pattern on. Now it's a slightly better cast. Now I'm putting a lot of slack in because I can see the line nearest me is dragging down pretty quickly. I've got a good 3 feet or so of drift then, so I'm pretty happy about that. I'm just seeing if I can step out just a little bit further, so I can get a cast tight in to the bank. That's a little bit better. Big slack, big upstream mend. It's pretty close to where it needs to be. I've just seen a smaller fish rise in a slightly better position as well, so I might just try and cover that. See if we can get, I almost got my rod, Chris and Nico, sorry about that, I didn't stick that one. Just trying to throw out. The pattern I've got on it's tied by my friend Duncan, and it's called the Mega May, and it's pretty much one of the few patterns I use for mayfly. It's basically he'd describe it, his words not mine, a relatively big clink hammer in mayfly colours, but it also underneath the hackle, I thought that was the cast then, it has CDC as well, and I think that either looks like legs or the shuck or the just a little bit extra really for the fish to key in on. But this rod's lovely actually, I'm really enjoying casting it, and I'm making a pretty long cast actually, and it's coping with ease. I can see again I'm getting about 2 or 3 feet of drift, just need to get probably 2 foot tighter to the bank and I'm probably in the game. Just slow it down, Pete. There we go. That's a pretty good cast, I think. The fish will be the judge of that, but just have to be, still can't quite get it across the flow just at the moment, but just need to make that. I'm going to try direct. I've been throwing it slightly upstream. Right, that's got me into the zone, I think. Let's see. Oh, I thought that might be the one then. That looked pretty good. As I said, what I'm doing is when I cast it out, I put a big reach upstream so I can get that longer drift. and then mend the line as well. So big reach there. The fly's just landed, probably a couple of feet from the bank. Yeah, I thought that might be the one then. I'm going to give it one more and then see. I said I'd seen a couple of fish go in there. They're not hard on it, the fish, at the moment. That's one thing I'd say. And there's not a huge number of mayflies. That one's really tight in along the bank now. Really tight. Come on, don't drag, don't drag, don't drag. Oh, that was a really good shot, if I don't mind saying so myself. I thought I'd be in the game with that one. Right, I'm known as just one more, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to have just one last cast here. And then what I'm going to do is take a bit more time. Just excited, to be honest, to be chucking a mayfly. That, again, is right on the bank there. Oh, I thought that would be the one as well. Right, I'm going to wind in and have a wander upstream, see if I can see it consistently. I'll sit him out if I see it and see if I can find a consistently rising fish. So I've sort of sat in some of the spots that are the likely places that I know fish, particularly when they're on maize, tend to sit. I've obviously focused on the one I was mentioning earlier when I was salmon fishing, that I saw a fish rise. I'm going to walk downstream. I'm not going to just speck the water. I'd say the hatch is trickling at best. You know, I've probably seen 3 or 4 mayfly while I've been here, so there's not a great deal going on at the moment. I don't know how far I'm into the hatch at the moment, and I've had a couple of days away from the river, so even to me, a couple of days, I feel a little bit rusty and a little bit out of touch as to what's happening regarding hatch times and how heavy the hatch actually is. But it doesn't strike me as that there's a huge amount going on. We're probably getting on for, I don't know, 2-ish, something like that. So we'll wait and see what happens. But what I might do, because I'm really keen to try and christen this rod, I'm not superstitious, but I am. But now I've said I wanted to christen this rod on the podcast, the chances are I'm probably going to get a kicking, but we'll see what happens. But I'm not really seeing anything. This is nice, slow, even pace of water, and I'm not seeing anything happen. You know, if a fish rose, there'd be the telltale signs, and perhaps I was a little bit eager. It was really nice, that tiny little fish, you know, fly's too big for him, but it was really nice to see he was keyed into what was going on. Like I say, there's some blue-winged olives around as well, but everything's sort of trickling off just a little bit. Just one more mayfly has gone past me, but I don't know there's enough really to get the fish excited just at the moment. It may be, though, that if they are actually locked on, that putting one into the right spot might provoke a response. So what I'm going to do is probably leave the spots where I think the nicer fish may take a mayfly if it passes by them, and then wait. I'd rather target those sorts of fish knowing they're there rather than specking them up and hopefully trying to bring them up. And so what I'm probably going to do is walk downstream just a little bit, and I might spec a few spots but still keep the ones where my hopes are the highest, just to see if I can get lucky there, but we'll see. So I've walked downstream a little bit, and one of the things I've noticed is there's not many mayfly around. I can just see one yellow. There are some other olives, certainly some blue wings coming off. Again, the absence of rising fish at the moment speaks a little bit. As I said, there is colour. Again, I'm thigh deep. I can see my boots okay, but it's a bit silty and a bit messy at the moment. But I'm going to just try some speculative cast to see. What it'll tell me is if fish down here are interested in a mayfly pattern. Again, I'm in a pool called 4 Acres, and as you look downstream, I'm casting against the true right bank. There's a bubble line, but I think probably in this sort of height of water, if the fish are going to play, they're probably really tucked in tight against the bank. That cast has gone right in there. And the cast probably, that's a lovely drift down for nothing, is a good 35, 40 feet. And again, the rod, interestingly, deals with it absolute fine. It doesn't feel like I'm fishing a lightweight rod, which is really interesting. Just see a yellow may coming off, another one. And I'm running it. I'm trying to run it as tight to the bank as I possibly can and see if I can just bring someone to come up and have a look at it. And I'm going to just try a little downstream dry there, right in tight. I can't get that tighter into the bank than I've got it right now. And that was a beautiful little one. There we go. That's a little fish just taken that. Nico, I've christened the rod. You probably hear my dog on his way. He gets excited. Stay there, mate. Just the fish is, yeah, it's probably only 6 or 7 inches long. Took the dry. My dog's come to have a look. He likes to see it. But the rod is properly christened now, and a beautiful wild river tour brown trout. Really, really pleased with that. And just thinking sometimes outside of the box, and I saw a sort of a position, there's sort of some brush and some branches and really sheltered sort of little area. And it's just downstream me a little bit. So cast down just a little ways, lots of slack in there. When the fish took, I gave it a little bit more time. I find with a downstream dry, which I do use from time to time, and as you've just seen it does actually work as well. I let the fish take it a little and give it a little bit more just before I set onto it as well. But really pleased with that, and the rod's properly christened. Beautiful little wild brown trout. Let's see what else we can come up with. So it's not really on fire at the moment. There's the odd fly coming off. There hasn't been a lot of movement from the fish. There's a spot I really do like that I'm going to try and put a cast to. It's about a 35-foot cast, something like that. Let's see if anyone's home. No. I can often pick, it's sort of at the back end of a tree, and there's a low branch there, and in the past I've seen odd fish rise there. So as I'm specking the water, I thought it might be worth a try. Wind's come up a little bit. It feels really good conditions though. You know, it's overcast. I wouldn't call it humid at the moment, but it feels pretty good. I'm getting nice, in a really nice rhythm with this rod now, and really enjoying casting it. And I found if I push it too hard, you'll get close to tailing it. You've just got to relax and just let it do its thing. And when it does, man, does it throw out the line as well. So I've been really impressed with that. I'm enjoying getting to know the rod. I've become an angler really who does like to wait for those rising fish, but this has given me a great opportunity with not a lot going on at the moment. It's given me a great opportunity to cast it. I should mention this rod hasn't been given to me, I've bought it. So I'm not sort of doing an advert for it. I'm trying a rod I've just bought to see if I like it. And I do. The rod bends really deep. You can almost feel it in the hand, how deep it bends, but it doesn't feel like a noodle, so it recovers pretty quickly. I think it's one of the new, I could be wrong, I think it's S-glass. So they're not like the rod I was describing at the very beginning when I first sort of cast glass rods, and it's really, really easy to cast, but you've just got to take your time. And it's nice. It's been a busy time for me with the magazine has just landed. Just made a cast out there, so apologies if I do stop a little bit. And I've been busy with that, and actually being on the river, taking your time with stuff is really nice and really good fun. Yeah, it just throws it out really, really nicely. The interesting thing for me is that it's doing what I'd be doing if I was fishing a graphite rod. So I don't feel in any way as if I'm compromised. You know, I can throw this line out without a problem. It's going out absolutely fine. I've just been putting a couple of casts down there, but I watched a natural come down and it made a really bad go at taking off and flying away, and yet that didn't bring anyone into play. Oh, that was a nice cast. It may be I just have to keep moving and specking the water just for a little bit, just to see if I can find anyone, and then see if the hatch gets going a little bit more. Like I say, it may be I've missed the best of it, and you know my chance has gone. But we'll see what we can do. We've had a small fish on a mayfly, so I'm happy. I was fishing with my friend Perry yesterday, and we were fishing higher up the river on a tributary of the Tor. And that fished really, really nicely to mayflies. So my hope is that there's still a little bit of a hope that the hatch, I haven't missed out too much on it. It feels as though, there's a game afoot. Part of me, I have to say, is thinking, right, in some of the pools, do I swing for salmon? I can't help but think that right now. But yeah, I've run that down 3 or 4 times while I've been talking. Nothing happening. It's crossing my mind to put something really big on and see if I can bring someone up. But there's not enough hatch around. There's not really a great deal going on. It may be I have to be patient, but we'll see what happens. I'm enjoying it nonetheless. It's great fun. I'd sort of given up just a little bit, that I moved back up into Island Pool just to see if anything was going on. And it was just probably 10, 12 feet upstream from the spot. There's a tree over the winter has come down and it's tight against the bank. And my hope was over the winter that over the season, what would happen was that because it's so tight in the bank, the main flow's going against that far bank on the true right bank side. And I thought it would hold the flow up a little bit and fish would sit behind it and sip away quite happily. It doesn't look, we got a bit more water at the moment, so it doesn't look so bad. But when the water was lower, I was keeping an eye out and the flow behind the tree was pretty non-existent. Now, the fish I was telling you about earlier was just upstream, right in by the tree roots there. And I came up just to have a look, and there wasn't really anything going on. And I was chatting away to the dog and said, right, okay, I think I might get the salmon rod out for a bit and then we might go home. And just watching a mayfly go down where I'd seen that huge fish rise. But just up from there, where the trees come down, it's made a little indent in the bank. And I was sort of looking for some rising fish and saw a gentle little sip from a fish. I didn't think it was a mayfly take, but I still had on the Mega May, cast right in there. And again, it was more of a downstream presentation. I couldn't get the drift, to be honest, because going right across the pool, I was just getting dragged straight away. And where I'd seen the fish rise, it was just dragging as soon as I got it tight in there. So I thought I'll walk upstream just a little bit and then cast down right into the area. And lo and behold, the fish took hell of a fight. Leapt. I thought it was a sea trout at first, actually, a peel, as they call them in Devon, and leapt, and it sort of had a hint of silver to it. And I thought, oh, cool, I've caught a sea trout. And it's happened to me before quite regularly. I really, really enjoy trying to target sea trout on dry flies. And this time of year, it's sort of the run coincides with the mayfly hatch as well. Anyway, it tried to take me in on those tree roots. Here's something really interesting. With that rod, I could really lean into it. And the rod was, using that old cliche term, hooped over, but it coped really, really well. And I thought, if it gets in there, I'm gone. And immediately when the fish took and zoomed in there, I thought, right, this is a nice fish, and I could feel the weight of it. I saw it leap, so I knew it was a nice fish, and it made several attempts to get in there. But with that rod, it allowed me to protect the tippet. I'm fishing about I am fishing 4 pound on the end, but it allowed me to really sort of keep that the fish right out of that root jam, and it wasn't going to break me off. Came out, managed to net it. I've weighed it. It's just under 2 pounds, just under. Now that for Devon is a wonderful, wonderful fish. That's a cast 2 fish that was rising. I had my friend Duncan up, hooked an even bigger fish a little while back. And it's kind of the right sort of pace of water. It's pretty slow. Like I say, I need to come back. I'm still sort of gibbering and jabbering a little bit at the moment. So please forgive me for that. I'm just so excited. I'm shaking a little bit. And that's what fishing does to us, doesn't it? That's what makes us keep coming back. And I checked the fish, had some red spots on it. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a brown trout. There was, when I saw on the gill plate, nice brown colour. I've taken some photos, so you'll see those once you've listened to this, that with the accompanying social media posts I do, you'll see the fish. But it was an absolutely beautiful fish. And moments like this now, I sort of think, wow, I've seen another fish in a similar spot rise, and I'm almost like, wow, how am I going to better a moment like that I thought the odds were against me? I thought the fishing was going to suck, was sort of thinking about getting the salmon rod out, which I may still do. But wow, absolutely amazing. Wild fish, obviously, on the tour here. We don't stock any. There's very few rivers in Devon that are actually stocked, and that's a proper wild brown trout, just under £2, which I'm absolutely thrilled with. I can't believe it. I'm sorry I didn't have the mic on when that actually happened. I didn't think it was going to happen, to be brutally honest. So I didn't bother putting it on. There's a little bit, my dog gets equally as excited and wants to be part of it. He was great and stayed back, but when I try and photograph the fish, he wants to see the fish. Part of it is him seeing it, and he gets kind of excited by that. He's comes from gun dog stock, and I think this is his moment, his equivalent of picking up. So that was really exciting. I'm sorry if I've jabbered a little bit there. As I said, I'm just really, really excited, and that, like I say, is the really cool thing about this. I've caught many big fish. I've fished a lot. I've fished in a lot of places. But that's what it does to us, and I feel really lucky. Should say thank you to Duncan. The Mega Mate again has come up trumps for me as well. So thank you for that. And yeah, it's worked. It's been fantastic. I'm going to keep on. I did see a fish move tight in again in a similar spot where I've just had that fish out. So I may give that a go. Okay, I've had a chance to gather my thoughts a little bit and dry my fly off and just enjoy that moment. I sent Duncan a little message just to say thank you, because his fly has worked once again. And almost the same spot, I think I've seen, or a very similar spot, I've seen another fish rise. I don't think it's quite as good as the other, but I'm not sure. It was an okay rise. It's a really tricky cast. It's a long one. I'm sort of, again, looking downstream. I'm just making my cast out now. I've got a reasonable amount of line out, but it's a tricky one to get right across there. And we shall see how we get on. Okay. Let's see if we can get to him. Casting a bit fast, which you don't want to do with this rod. Okay, we're in the spot. You're going to eat that, you're going to eat that, you're going to eat that. That looks like a no. It's a little heavy landing, I have to admit. It wasn't one of my better casts. Just pulling in some line. I can't get much further across. I'm sort of waist deep now. That's right in tight now, right in tight. Eat me, eat me, eat me. No, so there's a fish eaten a little bit further out this time. That was interesting. I don't think it's a big fish, that one. But similar, he'd moved out to eat something. So let's give it to him, not quite so tight in, and see if he eats that. Here we go, it's almost in. Drag is such a big issue though here. Such a hard cast. It's no wonder that big guy was living in there. Right, slack in there. Slack. That was about where it rose. Didn't want to take that one. I think the one tight in on the bank was a better fish. I've not seen him go again. They're not really regular at all. There's not many mays hatching. Maybe I put a couple more, then go and have a sit down for a bit. Just wait. Yeah, oh, son of a gun, I rose him. Son of a gun, that was a really nice little rise as well. Don't know how I missed that one. I don't think he's going to come again. I didn't touch him. I don't know if he just refused it or... There we go, got him. Oh, it's another nice fish. Oh, dear me, it's going right in that tree. Don't go in, please don't go in. Oh, God, it's strong. There we go, we got him out now. So that's where this rod, I can really lean into the fish And I haven't really seen it yet. That's the extraordinary thing about this. It's really close to me now. Oh, it's strong. You can probably hear it there now. And I didn't get a chance to get my line in. And we'll see what happens if we can get this one in. It's not quite as big, but it's still, for Devon standards, phenomenal fish. You can probably hear him thrashing around now. Absolutely phenomenal fish. Got him. It gave me a second chance, that guy. My dog's come out to have a look too. Probably 1.5 pounds, something like that. And that's almost from the same spot that I'd had the last fish from as well. So a bit of excitement there as well. Oh, I don't know. They're long and lean, these fish, which generally, probably that's my dog drying himself at the moment. But they're usually a little bit more buttery as well. Beautiful fish though, absolutely stunning. I've got the weigh net, so I'm just going to give you a sense of what it weighs. Just about 1.5 pounds, so it's almost spot on the money there. So incredibly lucky again to pick up such a stunning fish. Again, I'm still shaking. You can probably hear it in the net now. It's going absolutely mad. So I'm going to turn this off just so that I can make sure I look after the fish properly. So that fish has gone away. I can't believe my luck, really. I felt it wasn't really going to happen. I've just sort of been, I guess, in some respects, patient. I've been in the right spot. I guess it is a case of when you know your water a little bit, you know the sort of spots, and I've been fishing this flat section of water, and where those fish were rising was really tight in to the bank. It's a really slow flow there, and they've just been picking off the very occasional mayfly. Like I said, the hatch hasn't really, it may well have run its course now, and there's just the odd mayfly there. I still think in situations like this, you can bring a fish up to eat if it's given you a chance to have a look. So I've been really pleased to see that happen. But again, it just shows the quality of fishing, how lucky we are with all these streams down here in Devon to be able to fish them and catch these beautiful wild brown trout on dry flies as well. So I feel incredibly lucky. I could probably fish on a little bit. I'm probably going to get the salmon rod out. I feel like I've had my fill in the sense of I don't need to fish super hard. I am really lucky that I get to fish a lot, so I can pick and choose when I want to go. But they've just been two amazing fish, and I feel like I don't need any more right now. I may come down tomorrow. We'll wait and see what happens. But it's just been perfect. Part of me wants to, the sun's out a little bit more, and I don't know if that sort of helped the hatch in some way, shape or form from a barometric point of view, but the sun's out now. There's the odd may around. I look up and I'm not seeing any spinners around at all at the moment. So it's not, it may be the back end of the hatch more than anything else, but it's been amazing. I've been able to christen my rod. I had my dog for company. He's been great. And it's just been perfect. It's why I love this so much. It's like why I love these little streams in Devon so much. And it's delivered. And it's been a hard season. It was interesting that where I described the fish and said it was long and lean. Usually this time of year they're a lot broader. That just under 2 pound fish would have been a fair bit bigger, a lot more buttery as well. And that is probably a function of this spring that we've had, this cold spring, and the fish are starting to really get going now, but they're making up time. I think that's how it looks to me. They don't look like the sort of fish that I'm generally or normally catching around mayfly time here. So interesting to see that from that point of view as well. But I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's given you a little insight. I hope I've described it okay. Like I say, I've just been excited to be able to cast a new rod and christen the rod. So thank you, Nico. It's lived up to expectations. Duncan, thank you again for the Mega May. It's just such a great simple but yet effective pattern that has caught me so many fish. And it's been really, really good fun. So thank you for listening to this one on the water. I've done this one because I've had a lot of requests from people. They seem to enjoy these as well. And as ever, I try and mix and change the content in the podcast just to keep it relevant and interesting for you. And I hope you've enjoyed this short session on the river as much as I have. Thanks so much for listening.
The Fly Culture podcast is brought to you in association with Fly Culture, a quarterly print magazine. For more information, please visit flyculturemag.com. You can also find Fly Culture on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter.